Hi. Tamara. I'm Marilyn. Nice to see you, Marilyn. I think I've seen you. Okay, guys, I'm going to do another talk. For those of you who haven't been here, it will might have some points of interest. For those of you who have been we want the talk. It's right around the corner. I love that people want me to talk. That's why I love yes, they do. I'm going to refill my wine and I will be back for the talk. Okay. The talk is commencing. If you'd like to sit on a chair and you can easily find out. Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, there are seats in here. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's going to do. Please come and go at will. I'm not at all insulted if you have to get up. I'm a preschool teacher. I know it means to get up. But if you've heard this already, or you came in the middle of my talk, because I already did this about 45 minutes ago, then feel free to get up and leave when you reach the middle point. I do that with movies sometimes, right? I catch it in the middle, and I wait till I get to where I was, and then I turn it off. So, no expectations on any of that. So welcome everyone. I'm so grateful that you have taken time out of your night to be here with me in celebration of this opportunity I have to exhibit my work in this beautiful space. And for those of you who don't know, Miriam's Place is a healing arts center. You can see over on the wall, there's a list of practitioners, Reiki, massage. It can be for rehabilitation from an injury, or it can just be for proactive health. There are many, many reasons to visit Miriam's Place. So Amy Cook-Porter, who owns this building and is a craniosacral therapist here, had to sneak out, so otherwise I'd introduce her. But I would like to thank her. Desiree is in charge of supporting the art exhibits that happen monthly and has many other hats that she wears. Desiree. And Catherine, right there, is an amazing support person to me and to the center as well. So I want to acknowledge them. I think Travis snuck out, so I'll call him out. But so anyway, welcome. As you can see, my theme is awakening magic. And so I'll start with a haiku that I wrote on that theme. And as you know, haiku originated in Japan. And they start with 5 syllables, go to 7, and then 5. I believe there are other formats, but that's the one I chose to use. So you'll find many of the pieces, if not all of the pieces, have at least one haiku, perhaps 2. I'm a little wordy. For those of you who were here before and say, wow, you're very comfortable speaking in public, I actually taught public speaking at a university and at a community college, and this is my happy place. I have a cat. So, having said that, let me wax poetic. Spring awakening, cracking the ice of despair. Hope is born in March. And the joke I made earlier was, well, maybe not March in Colorado Springs, maybe it's May or June. But the point is that spring for me, and I'm guessing for many of you, is a time of feeling, oh my gosh, at least there's some rising energy. At least there's seedlings and blossoms, and there's hope, and feeling hope that I wasn't feeling. So you'll notice throughout much of my work the theme of the contrast between the winter of despair that is actual winter that we all live through, that is long and often hard and sporadic in Colorado. I grew up in Montana, so I'm a Rocky Mountain girl. This is not new to me, and I'm Florida, here I come, but that's another story. And then the awakening of spring and the rising of hope. So that's kind of the juxtaposition you see here in much of this work. And my husband and I traveled to Japan in March, so there's also a very Japanese thread that goes through here. And if you look closely, there's some Japanese patterns that repeat in a few of the leaf patterns, for example, there and here. And there is the green, of course, color represented, but there's also the color gold. And the gold is representing kintsugi. Does anybody know? That wasn't here before and got the answer already. Does anybody know what kintsugi is? It's Japanese. Yeah.
Is it the art of repairing with gold?
With
Yes.
gold.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
That's
So,
the actual definition, actually.
yes. Thank you. So it's basically taking ceramic that is broken and putting those pieces back together. And the metaphor and how we can apply it to our lives is that even when we feel broken, or relationships feel broken, or the world feels broken, we can apply the gold lacquer, if you will, of hope, of rising energy, of this idea that we alone can make a difference. There are many ways that gold can manifest in our lives. So I encourage you, as you look at the art, look for points where it connects with your story and your path in this lifetime. What does it mean to you? Are you finding meaning? Are you finding questions maybe in the art? Is something inspiring you? Is it intriguing you? Is it distressing you? This is the kind of art I do. It's expressive arts process. I'm a late in life, self-taught, expressive artist, not focused on technique. I'm focused on the meaning found in concepts that have a spiritual, emotional connection in my life. And I share it with the hope that there's something here for you. And even if you take away one little gift, then I feel like I've done my job. So that kind of gets the floor open for what this work is about. I'm wondering if there's a piece that has drawn you in that you'd either like to comment about or any questions you have. Donna,
I'm very drawn to this piece here,
who?
and I'm very curious what you could tell me about maybe as you were compiling it, assembling it. Tell me a little bit about how it came together.
Thank you, my friend. I did pay him to say that.
Well, I paid you for the piece.
Yes, he paid me for the
I
piece.
love that piece.
This has been purchased by Don, who is an artist in our community, by the way, and it does a lot of amazing things in our community. So Don was at Burning Man in 2018. My husband and I have been going to Burning Man for on and off. COVID kind of slowed that process down for 9 years, and my husband 10. And I stumbled on something in a camp near us that I didn't know was Don's camp until I got back to Colorado Springs. The elephant.
Oh, right.
Pat Tudor, who owns
Yes.
the Sunwater Spa in Manitou, and Don had created a lot of amazing things, Smoke Brush Art Foundation, amongst other things. And they were at Burning Man, camp not far from us, and I didn't get that till we got home, but oh well. So the reason I bring up Burning Man here is this is a piece that's about how we have to go to the depths of the underworld sometimes, even dragging and screaming. We are brought to pain, to our knees, discomfort, even if we're not really knocked to the floor by what's happening in the collective world or our own personal lives. We can just feel heavy with the burdens that it is to be human on the planet. or to deal with war and racism and pandemic. And I coined a term recently that we live in a pandemic of pandemonium. It's a swirling, chaotic, confusing time to be on the planet. I like to think we all are here for a reason and we all have a gift to give. And that's one of the ways I repair myself, to get up and rise to the despair that I can feel. So this is about how we can't deny what's hard and what's really painful in the world and in our lives. We have to confront it head on. It's kind of that dream thing where when the monster keeps chasing you, the only way to get the monster in your dreams to go away is to turn around and look at it, right? And that's an oversimplification of a Jungian concept. A lot of my art is based on Jungian principles. If you know anything about Carl Jung's work, or Jung, a lot of it is that. It's based a lot on Greek mythology and Celtic practices in my own life. I've got Celtic ancestry, so there's a Celtic, goddess over here. But this piece references the Greek myth of Persephone going to the underworld because she was kidnapped by Hades, who lives in the underworld, a bad guy. And that represents winter, because when she was kidnapped, her mother grieved, and she was the one who made everything green. So she, please pull up a chair, I'm just chatting about the art. This is Tori. Hey, Tori, Buffalo Lodge. Yeah. So Hades took her down, and she wanted to escape, but she couldn't, and her mother grieved. So winter came. That's when Demeter or Demeter said, "Okay, I'm not going to grow anything because I'm grieving. I miss my daughter. She's trapped in the underworld." So she ate 6 seeds of a pomegranate, and pomegranate is a symbol of the family. And that 6 seeds was what she now had to do. She had to stay 6 months in Hades, and she ate those 6 seeds. She was forbidden to eat, and she ate them. So guess what? She was hungry, and who doesn't love pomegranates? So that's why when she rises in the spring, then spring is born, and then when she goes under, it's winter time. So this piece here is a collage piece that's Persephone Returns. So Don, I haven't even gotten to your piece yet. So this is the bad guy, Hades. This is the guardian of the underworld. This is the going to the dark places to integrate the energies that are polarized in our lives of despair and hope. How can we go into our own lives and do the inner work? It means reflection. It means questioning. You might journal. You might have a spiritual practice. We're all different. We all have different paths. But it's about committing to not just running and staying busy all the time, because that distracts us from things we have to face and truths we have to reach and things we have to integrate and alchemize. So the snake that's going down, snakes scare a lot of people. In COVID, April of 2020, Al and I were living on the road for 7 years in an Airstream, and we were stuck in Oklahoma City on our way from Florida to Colorado. Colorado COVID rates were too high. And we were staying at an Air Force base, Offutt Air Force Base, Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma City. And every day we'd take a nature walk, and there was a pond with a water snake, 7 feet. And I love snakes. So every day we go breathe the snake. I wouldn't pet it, but we breathe it. And the last day we were there, we were headed to Colorado to stay at Tori's place at the Buffalo Lodge, camping on our Airstream back there. I found the snake skin of that 7-foot snake. Yeah. I named her Lily, and she gifted me that, and to me it's one of my most prized possessions, and it hangs in my art space. So yes, I'm that weird. Yes, I got a few.
Thank you.
Yay. Yes, I am that person who loves Halloween, right? So that is got Burning Man energy. I'm finally getting to the Burning Man piece. It's got wood that was taken from the temple of Burning Man. If you don't know anything about Burning Man, Google Burning Man Temple. It's one of the most sacred sites. It's created, Burning Man is 80,000 people from around the world creating a temporary city for 1 week. And it's art, and it's music, and it's dance, and it's humanity coming together. And they build a temple, and you go in there, and it doesn't matter what your spiritual beliefs or practice are. It is a palpable spiritual energy. You can attest to it, Al can attest to it. And they burn it on the last night of Burning Man. And it's very pagan. It's very much about releasing your fears, your burdens, grieving people that you've lost, grieving things that you've lost. And so that wood comes from the Temple of Burning Man.
How did I know that?
Because I told you. And the vase, these vases are made out of clay. I have molds. So I don't mold them, but I usually do something to them to make them my own. So people could look at what I do and say, well, that's not art. She just bought a bird cage and put it right up there. But for me, it's this thread of connection between objects and repurposing and upcycling so that I'm creating something based on the theme and I'm trying to give a message or a gift. And that's why I do that. So that little snake, people are asking if it's real, came from China. I'm somebody who's looking for owl pellets. If you ever find an owl pellet or a bird nest and you want to get rid of it, please gift it to me. These are prized possessions. I'm like a 12-year-old boy. I have rocks in my pockets and I gather things. That snake was one of my happiest moments. I found it online and I bought it in China. So that's where that comes from. But the face actually has dust from Burning Man because we have it out in a desert. It's Black Rock City, it's BLM land, it's rented every year. And I took that dust and I put that on my face. And there's a little mouse vertebrae on the head. So as you can see, each one of these pieces has a story. There's something to ponder, there's something to perhaps get a gift from, and there's, each object is very specifically selected. So does that answer your question?
Yes.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for the.
Yes. So who else?
I am
Yes, please.
this one
Yes.
in contrast.
Yes. Yes. So the joy of letting go. Who doesn't feel burdened? Joe Vegas was going to be here tonight. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. But for those of you who know Joe Vegas, he's a singer-songwriter in our community. He's put out about 10 CDs. He's a friend of mine. And he was going to come, and he wrote a song once, Just Let Go. Have you heard it? Then he wrote another song, Don't Let Go. So that's kind of the polarization of the energies you see here, that we just need to let some things go. But in the moment of letting go, we get a little clarity when we're going through hard things about what's really important and what we want to hang on to. So for me, I found this piece of wood. We live at the top of the hill in University Park. We have 800 acres of open space and hiking trails around us. So when I'm hiking, or my husband's in Arizona visiting his friend Nancy and hiking, they find me things. Nancy found this skull here that I created. We decided it's a muskrat skull. I thought it was a javelina, but it's a muskrat. And then my daughter came at Thanksgiving and taught me how to put crystals on the skulls. So that came my daughter and I and Nancy. But this piece was found on a hike, and I thought that's a body being joyful and expressing. So that's kind of, I don't see things visually, I feel in my body intuitively. I need to make this, and I just put it together and I don't think it through. And it shows up like a gift to me. So most of my art surprises me. And the title changes a lot when I'm working with a theme, and I just follow the muse. So, yeah.
How many other, I know that you've been parts of other shows. Is this your first, have you had any other solo shows? And how is your current artwork different than what I've seen in the past?
Yes, great chef, a great question. I was explaining earlier, I was 48 before I even considered myself an artist. And now I look back in my life and I'm like, I was always an artist, because I love to decorate. I love to dress. I love jewelry. There's so many ways to do art. I can't draw or paint for doo-doo. I mean, I'm horrible at it. And yeah, that was when I was taking classes with Lance Green. For any of you who know Lance Green, famous artist here in town. And that looks just like what Lance Green would do. It's not really representative of me, but I learned how to paint like Lance did. And I needed to find my voice. So that piece I made in 2014. Everything else is new in the last few months. But I thought that fit the theme really So I took it out of my bathroom where it was hanging, and yeah, it was in my bathroom. So the point is, we all have to find our voice and our style of creativity. You know, this is an amazing writer, publisher, poet, Robin, poet, artist. I mean, I can just sit and point around to, and it doesn't matter if, you know, if you're a crafter or if you make good meals, right? We all have creativity inside of us, and it's trusting our voice. So part of it for me was we live in a community of amazing artists. So there's always that insecurity. I want to show. Do any of you know Deb Comator? She was here earlier. Or not Deb Comator. Yeah, Deb didn't make it this show. She was on my last show. Deb Bartos. Do you know Deb Bartos? She's currently being shown down at San Jose Cristo Art Center. She's amazing. Painter that does local landscapes. And so she was here earlier. So I'm like, oh my God, I don't paint or draw. I just glue things with a glue gun and burn myself. Like, how am I going to do this? But last year, Amy and her staff offered me an opportunity. You know, when I'm really a grown-up artist, I'm going to Auric Gallery or Surface Gallery. I'm going to be in all the big galleries. Some people I know. But in the meantime, I'm growing up my confidence and I'm learning I do have a voice. And I'm seeing that we don't have to define art a certain way for it. It doesn't have to sell for $3,000. It doesn't have to be perfect. Which leads me to, does that answer your question? Like,
I was wondering how many shows you've been.
this is my second solo art show. I started in 2014 when I was painting with Lance. I was in his show. I'm at the Manitou Art Center every month for the most part. They have it. Yeah, so I tend to show there, but they only allow 2 pieces. And so I do go there. Mostly that's what I've done. So to have this opportunity to share all these numbers of pieces, because you'll see a lot of diversity in my work. It's not just all one thing, right? And the theme's going to be different. I'm hoping to do a moon themed show next time. Please get me on.
You're on the calendar.
Yes, we'll need to get on the calendar. But it's just such a beautiful space to feel safe and to share my art. And as you can see, they welcome me and all of you. They provide food. This is a lovely place to be a newbie getting out there. So does that answer? Yeah, great. Well, I do want to get in before I wrap up and or take other questions or comments. I do want to wrap up that when Al and I went to Japan in March, I was really influenced by their culture and their aesthetic. And I wanted to mention, we talked about the kintsugi and the gold lacquer, but another concept is wabi-sabi. So it's this idea, it's really complex, and I swear you have to be in that culture to really get the nuance of that. But what I take away from it is the appreciation of imperfection. So one thing I'm also not good at is cutting things straight, or so all of these like name tags on all of these are a mess. And I have Virgo in the 6th house, and I'm an astrologer too. So I'm a perfectionist. So I want to make it all like, and then I'm like, I can't show that. That's embarrassing. But no, wabi sabi. I can say, look, I'm brave enough to show you how crappy I am. And then I had this thought that none of my thoughts are in a straight line. Why should I be able to cut in a straight line, right? So that's kind of my excuse. But it's the ability to show up even when we're not perfect, when we have issues that are shameful or we feel embarrassed about. It's about that vulnerability and authenticity that bring patina, if you will, to our beings, our personas, our sharing and our relationships. And in that process, we offer others permission to show up. And there's not all the pressure to just keep being some level of standard of perfection that no human reaches, right? So that's something to chew on. Hopefully that's inspiring you. Any other questions or thoughts?
Well, the diversity of your work speaks to me to what you just said.
Yeah.
That is that it's not as if somebody bought this one, so I better do one like that.
Yes. Yes. That's very much my aesthetic. I respect other artists and how they choose to offer their work. And for some, that's a beautiful offering. But for me, I have to follow my process and my intuition. And it's almost like, I don't profess, to give you any set spiritual viewpoint on it. I just feel like something comes through me. I think you've heard that when somebody says, I didn't write that novel, I channeled that novel, or whatever. You might feel that. So I feel like I'm kind of here to share this art, and I don't know where that inspiration is coming from. I have my beliefs, but I don't need to share them. But the point is, I feel like we all have gifts to share. We all have creative energy. However that shows up, I encourage you to have the courage to show up in your wabi-sabi selves. And so, any other questions before I turn it over to my haiku published poet and friend who has a haiku about wabi-sabi? This one? Yes. So that one I was a little kind of reluctant to put up because that's an established old artist whose name I forgot, very gusty, right? But I bought that on Amazon or something, quite frankly, because I like the expression of this person who has these golden tears of grief. And you kind of see it over here in this piece where there's the silver metallic tears. But tears, sometimes we think we have to hold in our emotions or we have to not show our true feelings. And tears can be so healing, right? And I've been going through a lot of grief for a lot of reasons. I think we've all lost a lot since 2020 in particular, both personally and collectively. And I don't tend to cry. We moved to Madrid in 1994 and lived there for a year. And I prided myself that we lived there 3 years, but I prided myself I didn't cry for a year. I was like, whoa, I'm badass, and I have a hard time getting to the tears because there's so many layers of veneer. So for me, that really spoke. And so I got this idea. Leonard Cohen, who you might be familiar with, hopefully, because he was amazing, who died last year, he wrote he wrote something that said, sing the song that you can sing. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. So it's through our brokenness that the light comes in, that we express who we are in our gifts, and we heal. And we heal each other by showing that. So you'll see that with the broken bird over here. Even though the bird's broken, it wants to fly. And this one is coming through the crack, and the gold is healing the golden tears. Does that answer it? Great. Anything else? Okay, I'll turn it over to Robin.
Thank you, Tamara. Well, unlike Tamara, I'm not a public speaker, I'm a poet. And if I were to ad-lib the way she did, we would be here all night. So I'm going to just read my remarks. So before I speak my closing haiku, I want to say a few brief words about our artist of the evening, Tamara Ryan Brody. For me, it has been an incredible pleasure and wonderment to witness Tamara's evolution as both a visual and a conceptual artist over the past several years. Her work is informed by her longtime study of Jungian psychology, archetypes, cross-cultural mythology, women's history, women's dreams and development, as well as the art of tarot, among many of her other pursuits. I'm truly proud of how Tamara expresses her inner wisdom and artistry and then chooses to share it with all of us. When Tamara returned from her recent trip to Japan, she invited me to write some haiku to accompany the show. Turns out she also had a go at writing haiku herself, yet another expression of her inner life and spirit. So great good congratulations to Tamara for so generously sharing your awesome, bodacious, creative self with all of us this evening. Just a little preface to my own closing haiku. All of us, especially all of us lucky enough to be alive in our later decades, we are all wabi-sabi personified. We are all marked by age and impermanence. And yet these very qualities have also manifested our ability to persevere, to overcome challenges, and to not only persist, but to flourish. So here's my haiku offering for this evening. I'll read it twice just so it will echo into our ear in space. This wabi-sabi life, tattered here, broken there, inner spirit whole. This wabi-sabi life, tattered here, broken there, inner spirit whole.
Perfect way to end this beautiful sharing. So thank you all for your attention. And if you have any questions, I'm available. Thank you.